gonna take on the world. Standing tall, we gotta make it our own. No waiting around. Winners would never look down. No one can stop us, we got it. The future is right in our hands. Give it 100%. We gonna take on the world. Yeah, we gotta move. Speaking the truth. Yeah, paying our dues. We making the news. Yeah, we hitting the roof. No, we don't wanna lose. Climbing and shaking the walls. We gotta break all the rules. We're gonna take on the world. 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 Take on the world.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Latinsplaining. My name is Denise Gonzalez. For those who do not know me, for those who do, please, you guys know how we do it here. Make sure you like and subscribe, and also hit the bell for notification and press all so that you don't miss a single episode that I do. Now I see that I have Johnny Mills, Keith Nelson, God Body, all aboard, Jose, Reese around, the only yes in the house. Welcome, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And if I'm leaving someone out of it, I'm sorry. Um, we're on the pre-social Thursday. That's what they call it back at home. So I wish everybody's getting ready for another weekend where we will be more productive, of course. Now, today's show is a very special show. It's been requested for so long. So make sure you have your snacks ready, your drinks ready. We're going to have an amazing show today. So without any further ado, let's start.
Take it to the next level.
Now, you guys know, I don't know how many of you guys follow me on Instagram. However, in the past week, I see that JS is like, I'm waiting for the spaghetti to be done good. Make sure you keep an eye on it, okay? You don't want either al dente or overcooked spaghetti, okay? So you guys know I have been posting, if you follow me on Instagram, I have been posting during this week how Ricardo Rosselló, our former and disgraced governor in Puerto Rico, um, decided to request from the public that he wanted to be a lobbyist for the pro statehood status in Washington with a very juicy salary of $171,000 per year. So he decided to request from people to actually write him in the special election that took place a few weeks ago. And I'm saddened to say that thousands of morons wrote him in. And unfortunately, he qualified. So we all know that the actual an actual judge revoked his qualifications. He got disqualified for actually being a lobbyist pro statehood in Puerto Rico. However, he decided to go to the appeals through the whole appeals process. So he took his case to the Supreme Court of Puerto Rico, and they decided to say, we have to let Ricardo Rosselló be sworn in as a lobbyist pro statehood in Washington while we verify the merits of the case. Let's not forget that the previous judge that disqualified him said that he doesn't have a residence in Puerto Rico, therefore he doesn't even vote in Puerto Rico, and he cannot hold any type of office that is public. So let's not forget he lives in Virginia. He just purchased a property there, but he claimed that he was living with a relative and that his residence is Puerto Rico, when we all know that's some bullshit. But unfortunately, he was sworn in, and his stupid ass wife, I'm sorry, guys, this is very emotional for me, uh, was posting all over social media how they still get to scam you and me and take our money so that they can go to Washington and do nothing. Because let's not forget that Congress said that the lobbyists for a special election that they did not authorize to lobby pro statehood in Washington, these people will not be allowed in private sectors. They will only be granted the same access to Congress and the Capitol as the regular public. So unless they're trying to repeat what the morons of the MAGA movement in in January 6th did, I don't know how the hell they plan on lobby for statehood. And on top of that, they do not know anybody. They have zero connections in Washington to actually lobby for their ideals. So basically, they just wanted to hold an office for the sake of holding an office and still charge you and me for it. You don't say. Now, today, unfortunately, the Supreme Court of Puerto Rico ratified this decision, saying that quote unquote Ricardo Rosselló actually holds the merits of the case in his favor, because apparently you guys know how corrupted the injustice system in Puerto Rico is when it comes to stuff like this. And they decided that his main residence was in Puerto Rico, therefore he could hold a public office. So basically they just told us to suck it, and they determined that he will be your favorite pro statehood lobbyist in Washington. So, welcome, Ricardo Rosselló, to the Shit Show. Now, moving to another type of news. This one is not funny. I'm not going to make fun of it, but it's something that I have been watching since Wednesday. And it was the unfortunate assassination of the Haitian president. Now, you guys know that Jovenel Moise was not trying to get out of power for Haiti. So instead of doing a smooth transition, he wanted to remain in power even further out of his term. So some people decided for him it was time for him to go. Now, I'm going to read some of the developments because I'm pretty sure you guys have heard about what's going on and how he was assassinated in his own home. There were 6 suspects, and also his wife was heavily injured. She was transported to Miami, I believe, today for to seek treatment for her injuries, but he was unfortunately killed. Now, I found some information that I want to share with you guys. Sundown says they let those idiots storm the Capitol so the government could collect data. I believe, you know what? Now that you say that, before we continue with, you know, the whole Jovenel Moise situation, I believe this was kind of like a setup, but it was kind of needed, you know. And then you found these people having this stupid ass MAGA tears, like, oh, why my life ended? They're like, why I'm on the no-fly list? Only because I wanted to storm the Capitol and be a freaking terrorist. Like, come on now, you know. I do believe that, yeah, this was a tactic. Shout out to the brother that hold the front and the Capitol when everybody left him by himself. But yeah, definitely that was a tactic, because if you realize, even the police were trying to let them in. So I'm leaning towards your perspective, Sundown. Now I'm gonna share with you guys what I have found as the development of Jovenel Moise's assassination and what has been discovered um, today regarding his case. Let me just go all the way up. So it says a U.S. citizen is among those arrested in the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moise. Now I'm going to pause right here because I want to share something with you guys. You guys know I'm very good friends with Bro Tep, and he's of Haitian descent. He's a Haitian American. And we were discussing a long time ago. I believe Sandan was part of that discussion. I'm not 100% sure, but Sandan, you correct me if I'm wrong. But weren't we just talking about the possibility of Haiti being invaded by the US in a certain way? If I was the US and I wanted to invade Haiti for their treasures and all the things that I can exploit from this raw and virgin island, this will be the way I will do it. So, of course, I think it's coming to an end. The Haiti as we know it. And let's not forget that Haiti still holds a debt over the oil purchased from Venezuela, which now is basically being scrutinized by China and the US together. So I really do not know what's going to happen with Haiti, but it doesn't smell good. Now, let's just continue. It says law enforcement with the Police National of Haiti looks on as the crowd surrounds the Pétionville police station where suspects are being held. And he highlights that a U.S. citizen and another man believed to be Haitian American have reportedly been arrested in connection with the killing of Haitian President Jovenel Moise. James Solages, I don't know. You guys know my French is not good. A U.S. national was identified as a suspect by the Associated Press and the Washington Post. Moyes was assassinated by a group of armed assailants who burst into his home at around 1 a.m. Wednesday. Some stories on Insider's Business page. It says a U.S. citizen and another man believed to be Haitian American have reportedly been arrested in connection with the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moise. James Solages, whatever, a U.S. national of Haitian descent, was identified Thursday as among the 6 people who have been nabbed for the early Wednesday killing of Moise at his home, the Washington Post and the Associated Press reported. The AP and Washington Post cited Matthias Pierre, Haiti's Minister of Elections and Inter-Party Relations. One other person who was apprehended in connection to the assassination is also believed to be Haitian American, Pierre told the news outlets. That suspect's identity was not released. Solage, we're going to call him Solage because I really do not know how to pronounce this and it's getting annoying, was purportedly a chief commander of bodyguards. How fucking convenient, right? You have somebody that is guarding a person, and all of a sudden that person is involved in their assassination. It doesn't smell fishy at all, right? For the Canadian Embassy in Haiti, according to a website for a nonprofit he helped establish in South Florida, the Associated Press reported. On the website, he is identified as the president of the board of directors for the FWA SAA JAZML, Jack Mill Avant Inc. charity. Very charitable from his end. Preceding his tenure as a consultant, his career began as a volunteer in different nonprofit organizations assisting communities in need and Haiti. A bio page on the website reads, Mr. Solage is a youth leader and an advocate for underprivileged kids. The bio also calls Solage a certified diplomatic agent, a building engineer. The nonprofit did not immediately return requests for comment by Insider. Moise, 53, was assassinated by a group of armed assailants who burst into his home at around 1 a.m. Wednesday. Haitian First Lady Martine Moise was also critically injured in the attack. She was later flown to Miami, Florida for treatment for her gunshot wounds. I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to say something. In whose mind, I get it that you target the politician for whatever your motivations are, even though I don't support this type of stuff, but why the woman? How is it her fault? Why you have to shoot this lady? I do not understand. Like, why you have to do that? So it says, Leon Charles, the director of Haiti's National Police, told reporters Thursday that a total of 6 suspects have been busted in connection to the fatal ambush. Now, I don't know what you guys believe about this. What do you guys think about this? You can let me always know either in the chat or the comment section. But to be honest with you, I don't know if you guys remember the Boogeyman era when the US also intervened with Haiti. This is not new. Okay, this is not the first time we've seen this, and I'm gonna read some of your comments to see. Okay. Music only said the Capitol storming made me lose my support for Trump. He threw his supporters on the boat. Nah, they were stupid. He was the one who did that. Hi, Ramon. Now I see that, yeah, Sundown said that, yes, he also was part of that conversation. I remember you were part of that convo. You brought that point up. And he said, people think I'm crazy, man. I know my shit. Now, Ramon says the US has invaded Haiti a few times before. They could very created this problem so that they can show up with the solution. Oh, yeah. Come on, Ramon. You know this very well. Okay. They were the ones who started with the whole thing with Venezuela. They started with the whole thing with Mexico. Now they're doing all this crazy stuff in Honduras. And we all know when the angel white savior wants to come and save you, y'all know what that means, okay? That doesn't mean that that person is going to actually come to save you. They want something in return because there's no thing such as a free lunch. There's not such thing as free money, okay? So definitely they are doing this kind of stuff simply because they can. And we're seeing it happening. In the meantime, there's nothing we're actually doing to push back. Okay, so history is about to be repeated in front of our eyes while we do absolutely nothing. Now, Terrell says Haitians are Latinos too, but some people in Latin community refuse to accept them as the truth, and we know who we all talking about. Yes, definitely that's the circus, but we all know they're also part of Latin America. Carlos says they are doing it all over Latin America. Yeah, for sure. Now, the way I see it, I believe that because Haiti, for those who did not know, of course, my great grandma is a Haitian lady. Um, there's a lot of resources in Haiti. Okay. Haiti is not the Haiti you see in the commercials or only this poor country or whatnot. The reason why Haitians defend their land and they rather eat mud than to let anybody invade their land is because they know what they have. These people have a lot of riches underneath everything, and they have buildings and a lot of stuff that are resources that the US and other countries want to exploit from Haiti. So definitely, you know, it saddens me to say that unfortunately, the way I'm seeing things, and this is my personal opinion, it doesn't have to be you. And if you want to leave a nasty comment, go ahead. So, if I ruffle your feathers in the wrong way, well, you got to take it with my mama. She made me this way. But anyway, um, the way I see it is that that's the same shit they did to us in Puerto Rico, where they slap us with this status we didn't ask for. They massively recruited our people to war. Let's not forget that we sent more men to World War I than the state of New York from Puerto Rico, even though we're like a speck compared to the state of New York. And take your resources while the men are fighting the war. So, eventually I feel so bad for the Dominican people because if this goes through, your tourism, which is 89% of your commerce revenue compared to the world, is about to go to shit. So I really feel very, very, very sad for the Dominican people and also the Haitian brothers and sisters. I don't know how they're going to fight this, but in my opinion, is get your money right, get your situation right, own some land and some shit, and keep it moving. That's the way I see it, and that's my approach to everything. So I see that Ramon says sundown, the CIA being behind this will be routine. They have been doing this for decades. Yeah, for sure. Roisha says the first thing I thought of when a president of another country is assassinated is the United States CIA. Well, let me tell you something. This is not this doesn't surprise me. If you're surprised by this, put a number one in the chat. If you're not surprised at all, put a number two. Okay? Because I am not you know, I really don't really think people are surprised to see this. you know? I really don't. So definitely, eh, you see, nobody believes this shit. Nobody believes that, this is just a coincidence or that Haitians revolted or whatnot. This is fabricated. This is fabricated chaos. If I create a problem for you and then come with the solution, you love me better. And that's the American way. So, unfortunately, that is the way we do business here in America. And if you don't know it, well, you'll know it soon. Now, without any further ado, this has been the news for today on Latinsplaining. Let's keep it moving. Now, the main topic, Latinos in entertainment. Have you ever felt that you're underrepresented? Have you ever felt that the way you see Latinos can relate to you in your personal life? Or are you sick about the way you see Latinos in entertainment? Let's have the discussion today, and I'm going to give you my unfiltered opinion. You guys know that this is a very sensitive topic for some. So, like I said before, if I ruffle your feathers in the wrong way, well, I put up in my Instagram a questionnaire where you can submit your complaint and fold it and shove it because I really do not care. So, without any further ado, I was sent this by my dear friend Pamela. She sent me some topics that she wanted me to touch on. And before I continue, I want to remind you guys that if you have any topic that you want me to touch on, you want to hear my opinion, my take on it, or a problem that you want me to go over, make sure you email me and I will make space for it. I have received so many requests from people and I try to respond in a timely manner. Sometimes a little difficult, but I try to respond you. So don't freak out if I don't answer right away. I will get to you as soon as I can. So definitely, if you have any propositions, any questions, any subject you want me to touch on related to business and finances, of course, make sure you email me, okay? Is Denise Gonzalez V87 at gmail.com. Now, let's move into this. Hentified. How many of you guys watch and love Hentified? If you love Hentified, press 1. If you hated Hentified or you felt misrepresented, press 2. Pamela says, thank you, Denise. You're welcome. Well, I finished watching Hentified, and I must say, even though contrary to popular opinion, and I have watched a lot of the shit they do with our Latin people, this has been one of the most accurate shows I have watched of Latin descent or Latin diaspora in Netflix. Okay. Let's not forget that we also saw things like Modern Family, where the Latina woman was the trophy wife that literally had two flies in her brain. And after all the years living in the US, she still had a very strong Latina accent. Let's also not forget that at some point we also had Superstore, where we were just basically Walmart workers, or Jane the Virgin, when we actually were a stupid bimbo that did not know that she was pregnant and she was still a virgin woman. And even though we had the Latin version of this, which was made by Venezuelans, we wanted to whiteify it and make it the gringo way. And the infamous Narcos, where we once again get portrayed as criminals and drug dealers. And as if that wasn't enough, we also had our English version that kicked out Kate del Castillo, even though she's an excellent actress, of Queen of the South, so that we can also have the image of toxic, criminal Latina woman. Now, for those of you that have not watched Hentified, look at Oliver said. She was also a single mother in Modern Family before meeting a white man. Yeah, her white savior, of course. So Carlos says, LOL, I'm guilty of liking Narcos. Yeah, I definitely, okay, I'm going to say something before I continue with Hentified. I enjoy the photography. I enjoy the storytelling. I enjoy the acting and the accuracy of the first 5 or 6 episodes. What I did not love about Narcos, and I'm going to give my opinion on that, is very simple. I don't know how many of you guys have gone over the story of Pablo Escobar, but Pablo Escobar and this specific show did not factor in or even try to approach Pablo's kid for a reference. You're only, if you believe everything that Narcos is telling you, you have to understand that you're taking the word of the two DEA agents that actually not apprehended, gunned him down like a dog on the street. Okay. You're not hearing from the Colombian people. You're not hearing his side of the story or his kid or his wife. They are only taking into factor the DEA documents, DEA statements, and DEA story. So, for those who do not know who Pablo Escobar was a very and a chronically poor kid from Medellin, Colombia, who at some point in his life was walking to school with no shoes, and he decided to change his life and become the president of Colombia to give future kids and future generations the opportunities that he did not have. So, because Latin American commerce is so wonky and so mediocre because of our corrupted officials, of course, and because we really don't have the proper education to do commerce, because we actually don't. He decided to start contraband. So he was smuggling different things and selling them underground. And then he came across, hey, let's just sell cocaine to the Americans. But he still wanted to be president. Now, eventually, both of those worlds collided for him publicly and framed him simply because the president of Colombia at some point signed a deal with the DEA. And what they did is that they decided to go after Pablo. Now, I don't necessarily believe that Pablo Escobar um, kill his own people. I don't know if that, for those of you who watch Narcos, I want you to tell me if you believe that Pablo Escobar, the man that built Medellin the way it's today, when you see houses, roads, schools, those were built by Mr. Pablo Escobar. It's just that Narcos will never tell you that because it's not convenient for the DEA to say, yo, we killed somebody that was building Colombia with drug money, which is basically what many of the cartels do. Because when you come from from Latin America, there's no freaking commerce. Where are you gonna sell? America has taken most of the resources in the manufacturing businesses, so the only thing that we have is drugs to sell. And trust me, if you and me were in the same situation as Pablo Escobar or anybody that's in our cartel, we will be in the cartel as well. Okay, so do not come at me for saying what I think. This is my fucking opinion. If you don't like it, like I said, you can bounce out. You won't be missed. Now I see that Pamela says we are put in those types of roles to dehumanize us, and when we do have shows like Narcos, they show the one-side bias view of the states as the good and drug dealers are bad Latino who were helping. Yes, let's talk about this shit. When you see that Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia, and all these places are built, these places are built and it has roads and freeways and schools and houses because the cartel brings those billions to actually build the fucking country. That's the only commerce that America has left for Latinos. So, like I said, what if you don't like the cartel way, then you better come up with a fucking solution. If you don't have a better thing to sell, shut the hell up. Okay, so like I said, I don't want to hear when people are talking about, narcos and Pablo Escobar. If you do not know what Pablo Escobar did to build the Colombia you know today and you get to enjoy, shut the fuck off. Okay, we don't want to hear from you. We don't want to, like I said, Pablo Escobar, I'm not trying to romanticize his drug dealings, but at the end of the day, commerce is about supply and demand. If you want the drugs, he will sell them to you in the 90s. So definitely, like I said, I do not like when we're portrayed like this, not because it did not happen. Yes, he was a cartel head, the same way with other cartels that we have today. However, when history is only told by one side, you guys have heard the saying, the wolf will always be the bad guy if Red Riding Hood is telling the story. So, of course, when only the DA gets to tell their shit, of course, he's going to be the bad guy. Of course, he's going to be the terrorist. Of course, he's going to be this evil demon that was killing poor Colombians, when in reality, you and me both know that Pablo Escobar was just establishing a different kind of order that many people did not like, aka the US, did not like that $1 billion disappeared from their radar. And that's why they started coming after this man, okay? Now, going to Gentified. I was about to do a video next week that talks about what happens in Gentify, but I feel like I was going to do it at this service because unfortunately, Gentified, as cringe-worthy as it was to watch many of the things that happen, actually explain a lot of what happens in our communities. I think, like I said, this is one of the most accurate shows I have watched in my lifetime on any mainstream platform. So basically, this is a story about three different cousins, three different primos that are trying to follow, two of them are trying to follow their dreams on making it out of the barrio. And at the same time, you have a sector of our community in their same generation that basically, if you don't embrace the barrio, the talk poor life, or you work for somebody else and you just stick your head in the sand, then you're not Latino enough, as if that's the only thing we can do. So at some point, because of circumstances that happen in the show, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but if you have not watched it, you don't want me to spoil it, I would recommend for you to bounce out right now. um for some reason, uh the skills of one of the primos is needed to actually rescue the family business, because his knowledge on how to progress actually was extremely needed. They were at risk, and if they were to continue with the same Latino mindset that's standardized for us right now, they would have lost business. Now it ends in a cliffhanger. I'm still waiting for season 2. Don't come for me if you did not like the ending or if you wanted more. If you don't like to be left in a cliffhanger, I will advise for you to not even watch it. Wait for season 2 and watch them all together, because trust me, the ending will make you go crazy. However, one thing I would say that irritated me a lot about seeing myself represented outside of myself in the characters of Gentified, is that, man, and it's something I'm gonna go in depth on Monday. Okay, why there's a sector in Latin America that complains about being gentrified? Why are we scared of gentrification? That's something I'm going to discuss in depth Monday. But I would say that definitely one thing I would say about this show is that we need more of this type of representation. The reason why I wanted to bring to you guys the whole entertainment, and for all of you guys that want that question answered on why we're so scared about getting gentrified, come back Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific time and I will show you my answer. Now I'm gonna read to you guys before I even go into intermission and whatnot, what's happening and why I decided to speak on this when Pamela brought it up to me. And it says, why is progress so slow for Latinos in Hollywood? Hollywood Diversity Report shows Latinos are far behind in television and film. And it says, although minorities overall are becoming better represented in the entertainment industry, that progress largely hasn't touched Latino actors, writers, directors, and executives. An open letter from 270 Latino TV and film writers and creators, published in October 15 in the Los Angeles Times in 2020, laid bare the growing frustration with that phenomenon. And the statistics in the 2020 UCLA Hollywood Diversity Report back it up. Now, watch out for the percentages. Despite making up nearly 17% of the US population, basically we're 18% if you count the undocumented folks, Latinos are underrepresented in nearly every critical job category tracked by the report, the latest of which was published today. Sean Noriega, director of the UCLA Chicano Studies Research Center, said decades of attempts at media reform and market based arguments haven't yielded significant gains for Latinos in film and TV. The approach to media reform over the last 50 some years has always been either the carrot or the stick, said Noriega, a media scholar who teaches in the UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television. Initially, it was the stick, the laws and regulations around the equal employment opportunity, and because Latinos go to more movies than any group and watch more TV than any group, the carrot was, here are things you can do, and these things will enhance your ability to make money. Advocates and activists having yet to come up with a method or message that has led to tangible improvements, he said. For minorities overall, the most progress has come in acting roles, but the numbers remain stubbornly stagnant for Latino actors. According to the latest Hollywood Diversity Report, Latinos' share of lead acting roles, was 6.6% on scripted broadcast shows and 5.5% in cable and 4% in digital in 2018 to 2019. Among all TV acting roles in the past 2 years, Latinos' best representation was in broadcast shows during the 2017-18 season, but even then, they made up just 6.4% of all cast. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing, guys. But I will say something. First of all, related to Gentified is the same thing, that I would say. I'm gonna read what Pamela says. She says people think that because we have Telemundo that we're all represented, and that's not true. Yeah, for sure. Univision is not owned by us; it's owned by American folk. Okay, there's a lot of things that are not owned by Latinos. And to be honest with you, if we do not own anything, that's the reason why we are underrepresented in corporate America. We're underrepresented as entrepreneurs, and we're underrepresented in media. And I'm going to explain about this because you guys know, even though I'm not a filmmaker, even though that's something that I have been involved with, because you guys know I'm a sound engineer myself. One of the reasons why many people, I believe, and this is why I always come at us harder on this, when you're in media, one of the hardest things that you have to face is cold calling. Because for those of you who have never been in the movie biz, it's easy yet difficult. You have to have balls and a very thick skin because you have to be able to call people and produce your own opportunities every day as you keep getting no, 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 hoping for a yes. And these things take years for you to actually get it done. Now it's a little bit easier because of the incentives and the tax the tax breaks that you get, the tax credits that you get can also be commercialized. However, most of our people don't even fucking know that. So what do? We go to these big studios and try to get hired. But in reality, when you compare years of experience that other people have, unfortunately, we're not going to get picked. And sometimes we're just too scared to push and provoke opportunities for ourselves because we still have that mentality. We still believe that if we duck our heads in the sand, we will get further if we're the good kid of the yard. And that's not the way you do business when it comes to entertainment. Entertainment is about you being able to be a shark. Leave your heart for your family. There's no feelings in entertainment. If you don't believe me, try to get a career on it. You'll see it for yourself. If you have thin skin, and unfortunately, our emotions and our passionate nature makes us be more emotional. Therefore, we're hindering our own process because we don't have what it takes, the backbone it will take for us to break through in entertainment, which is something that I want us to change. Okay. I see that Pamela says, I don't like that sometimes other Latinos like shove that down our throats with Telemundo and Univision. Yeah, me neither. I'm so tired of seeing the same people. Let me ask you something. Do you guys remember that there was an era, I think it was Gabriel Soto's era of television, where that fucker was everywhere? The same thing with Fernando Colunga. He was in every novela. I was like, can we get new people? Can we get somebody that's not Sebastián Rulli? We really want to see more people than Rafael Amaya, Fernando Colunga, freaking Gabriel Soto. All these actors keep being recycled when they're just supposed to take a step into something bigger. But in reality, we don't see this as something that needs to be done. We don't want to learn the method that it just not works just for entertainment. I'm sorry. It works for everything else. The copy paste. If you see something that was successful, something that actually worked for somebody, analyze the operation, copy it, and paste it into your country of origin. Why not? You're stupid if you don't want to do it. Everything that you see today, that you see is innovative. Oh, Microsoft existed, so let's just shut down Mac and, Apple and all the Macs that we have created, all because Toyota created a car, now Ford has to close. Of course not. That's what the market is, competitive. We have to be competitive. We have to be able to be the competition. You guys heard me reading this article when it says that Latinos are the ones that watch the most television, the most movies, and the most streaming services. That means that we hold the buying power for entertainment, yet we're giving it to other people. So if we have the market, we have more demand that we can supply. It's time for you to create the image of Latinos you want to see so that other Latinos can see themselves represented outside of themselves. Otherwise, we will continue to be the same bullshit. The trophy Latina wife that's a bimbo to a white man. We will continue to be the Walmart worker, the criminal, the drug dealer, and all this stuff that people want to make us look like. Where do we see this before? We saw this with African Americans. There was so many negative and they were portraying such a criminal way for so much, especially the black men, that nowadays when people see a black man, there's a reason for you to fear them, even if they're just a regular person that lives upstate. So at the end of the day, Latinos in entertainment, it's something that we have to start. I don't want to hear any complaining about, oh, I don't like that they put us always in this. I don't like that they put us always in that. If you don't like what you see, It's your time to make it happen. It's your time to make us be represented in a proper way, because at the end of the day, nobody will have the best interest for your people than yourself. Now, that's my opinion on this. But if you think I'm full of shit, if you think I'm just talking out of my ass, I'm going to put the link down below so that you can come join me. Now, before you guys join me, you guys know I always go into intermission. Don't go anywhere. Go grab your snacks, your drinks. We're going to get the discussion popping, and we're going to do it in a respectful way. So make sure that when you come here, you understand it's a sensitive subject for many of us. And you still say your opinion, but let's try to not disrespect our people. Now, I'm going to go into intermission. It's 4:49 where I'm at. But before I leave, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, denise.gonzalez.villegas1, so that you can keep up with news that I share here, because sometimes there's so many things happening in Latin America and our Latin diaspora that I don't get to cover them on my channel. So definitely make sure that you follow me on Instagram so you can keep up with the information. Is 4:50. I will be back at 4:55. For those who have joined the panel, please don't go anywhere. I will be back in 5 minutes.
I'll be on my grind, no flex, no shining. Falling, flying, soaring, mountain. Lit shit, Millie up the rocket, coming down. I was falling from the block, I'll be on my grind, no flex, no shining. Oh yeah, baby, finna pull up beside them. They call me Sicky, I was never one for hiding. And if the weekend kicking in on Monday, I'll be riding. Falling, flying, soaring, mountain. Zip split on my slope, I keep on flying. Lit shit, Millie up the rocket, coming down. I was falling from the block, I was fucking on the side. Finna steer it up. Waiting for a while on them, now it's time to hurry up. Stress a plain pressure, but I'm never one to worry up. Shoot 'em up, and then they ask me what's going on, telling them every go. Ice up, very cold, ice come. Liquid courage, one doesn't look like I need that to go. Hey, I know, but you can cool her off with alphabetic show. Affidavit, ricochet and carry blows. Think I need assistance, take a peek within my parachute. The bottom looking like it on my trip, I'm feeling different. Toe and toes going on the big ship, it's gonna flip 'em up. I'll be on the ground, flex, I'm shining. Really up the rocket right now. I was falling from the blood, but I'm taking Voy a ver if I'm pull up beside him. They call me Siki, I was never one for hiding. And if the weekend kicking in on Monday, I'll be riding. All keep flying, so down in it. Trip skid, I'ma slow, I keep from flying. Lit shit, really after I could tap it down. I was calling from the back, I never fucking Amazon.
And we are back. Now I see that I have some of you guys here on the panel. Now, before I let you guys in, I want to remind you and the guys that are watching us that the views and statements of the guests do not necessarily represent those of the channel and or those of the panel members, as some of the comments may be offensive to select groups of people. Also, remember that by calling into the live show, you waive your rights to the use of your image and likeness for the purposes of the show. So you waive all the rights for privacy. Also, I'm going to request that you guys please keep it in the subject so that we can discuss Latinos in entertainment or any other topic that I have addressed on today's stream. Okay. So I'm going to let Jose, Sundown, Rakim, all aboard. And I see Zacharias here. Now, guys, I'm going to ask you, if you're not speaking, please mute yourself so we don't get feedback. I see that Ramon is also here. Today we have a full house. So I want to start with Jose. How are you, Jose?
Good evening. I apologize. It's just that I had muted myself. I didn't think I would be leading off. But
Oh, hey. Hey, I'm here. Hi.
Zacharias, mute yourself because we talk one at a time here, please. Go ahead, Jose.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be part of the stream. I'm going to, first of all, I just want to talk briefly regarding the fact how it's amazing that a person that lives in Virginia was granted by the Supreme Court of Puerto Rico to represent Puerto Rico for them to become a state. I find that very bizarre. I didn't know Virginia was part of Puerto Rico. Did you know that?
No, me neither. I'm mesmerized. I think that's like what, the north part? Flabbergasted alert.
I mean, for that case, maybe I should try to be a lobbyist for Puerto Rico. I mean, but then again, it can only happen. Well, it is what it is. Now, as far as the other thing, if we want to make sure that we're properly illustrated on television, we need to do something other than to gripe, moan, and complain. Yeah. I think those actors, directors, producers, and whatnot that are in a position to do something, they should do something where they can try to produce and direct their own programming, which gives a true representation of Latinos. And the fact of the matter is, lose the fear of showing melanated Latinos. That is just my opinion.
Definitely. I believe that We should definitely demonstrate our diversity and our different cultures as well, because I've noticed that most of the representation is either Mexican, and I get it that, out of the 56 million people we are here, 38 million are Mexican. But come on, there's Puerto Ricans, Peruvians, Colombians, Ecuadorians. There's a lot of different Latinos, and we're not all Mexicans. So that's not disrespect to my Mexican public, but do you guys will be like to be called Ecuadorian? Of course not. Now I see that Sundown is here. Hi, Sundown. How you doing?
Good, good, good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming up. Now, what do you think about today's show? What's your take?
Um, Man, I got a lot to say. I'll keep it short. So back in a couple of months ago, when I was having that discussion about Haiti, and I was saying what could be a possibility if Haiti didn't start to sustain itself, that they leave the door open for the U.S. to come in, and the U.S. could make Haiti a U.S. territory,
Mm-hmm.
and that'd be two island or that'd be two territories in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
When I said that, there were so many people in different spheres that were saying that I was stupid. They were saying I didn't know what I was talking about. They were saying that I should mind my business. They were saying that something like that would never happen. And voila, something just happened that could have some U.S. involvement. As you said, there was a person there that was affiliated with the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, think I kind of know what I'm talking about when with stuff like this. And also, just to bring up like another point with Cambodia, because I always use Cambodia as an example as well. When Cambodia was destroyed by the Khmer Rouge, when they toppled the government and they put the Khmer Rouge in charge, Cambodia is just now turning itself around. And I've always told people that it takes about three generations for a country to turn itself around from doing really bad to doing really good. So they're almost on their third generation, and look, it's finally starting to sustain itself. So a lot of the stuff that I'm telling you, you gotta listen because I'm
Yeah.
not just pulling stuff out of my my behind. I don't know what I'm talking about. So I just hope that Haiti can start to implement something their president. And I feel bad that the president was assassinated,
Yeah.
but hopefully Haiti can pull themselves together, start to formulate something that will turn into something positive, and then they can start to sustain themselves and keep America out of that country. Because America has gone there many times in the past. So I just hope that they can uh, sustain themselves or start to implement a change in the country for the better.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you 100% because I remember when you said this, and you have said many things that actually make sense. It's like Jose said, the problem with the slow tap circus that start coming at you every time you say something is because it makes too much sense. Jose says this all the time. When something makes too much sense, they will come at you and tell you you're talking shit as if you're not a fucking professional in what you're talking about. But now is your time to gloat. Now is
Yes.
your time to tell them, I tell ya. So I'm gonna move into onto Rakim. What's up, Rakim?
What's going on, Denise? How's everybody doing today on the panel?
We're good, 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 good. Ready for the weekend.
Yes, the weekend is approaching. The weekend is approaching.
Definitely, definitely. So, what's your take on today's show?
Well, my take on today's show is I definitely got to agree with Sundown. I was definitely there when he discussed on what was going on with Haiti. And one thing a lot of people have to realize that throughout turmoil and eternal conflict within the country, that when the United States step in, is not for any reason to benefit the country. The United States is not your friend when they're stepping into your country. They're more like a lender. They're there to clean up the problem so it can benefit themselves and to be able to extract your resources so it can actually go into the U.S. economy and goes into, the corrupted government officials here in the United States. Unfortunately, it's a sad event to see what's going on in Haiti, and I believe that a lot of people actually use Haiti due to the global racism that has been fueled throughout the world, especially when it comes to Black people. I feel like a lot of people use Haiti as the to say, listen, Black people can't sustain a country on their own. Look at Haiti, look at Africa, when we all know it's a lot of eternal issues that goes into that, and it's things that has taken place from the past that has set back Haiti today. And also, as far as what you was talking about earlier with the image of of Latinos within Hollywood and within television, can we get something like a Latino Grey's Anatomy, or various things like that? A lot of Latinos is going to have to realize that you're going to have to work towards building your own image, because when you leave your image in the hands of other people, especially people that's not familiar with their culture, you're not gonna be represented in the best light. And imagery is so powerful, like what you were saying earlier, how it can mirror what happened with African Americans. Imagery is so powerful that you can use images and project that to that group of people, to the point that that group of people start believing it about themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Not only that, like if we have Waiting to Exhale, The Color Purple, fucking Dangerous Minds, and all these movies that were made to decimate and dehumanize the Black men. And now today you can't even get the Black man and the Black woman together in the same room and get them to be on agreement on something together, because they have both believed this fake reality that media is trying to portray you. And if you don't believe that what I'm telling you is real, let's not forget that marketing is a tool, and it's used to either make you feel something or make you do something. So, like I said, media holds the power of imagery and agendas and propagandas that get spread out and makes people do certain things. And that's unfortunately what happened to Black men. And unfortunately it's happening to Latinos. Now I see that All Aboard is also here. What's up, girl? All Aboard.
You know, I always have to unmute. So, here I am. How's everyone doing?
Good, good.
I wanted to speak on a couple of things
Go
because
ahead.
actually we mentioned these things a couple of months ago, I believe. First of all, with Haiti, I want to start with Haiti because something that is ongoing, and it does affect Latin America. So, one thing that I wanted to bring up is a couple of months ago, um, the people were like, there was like a spike in uprisings, of violence, like a strong spike, and there's a gang apparently called G9 that's associated with that former regime. Rest in peace to the man who was killed, because no one deserves to lose their life. But there was a gang that's affiliated with him that killed several innocent people. Like there were massacres throughout several cities to quell the protests and uprisings. So what I can say is that while it's disappointing that people have to take matters into their own hands, it's not surprising. Um, I think that anytime, what I'm noticing is anytime the USA backs a regime, the people are against it because it doesn't benefit the people. Because as you can see in Colombia, what they're having right now as well is, they're having their revolt and their resistance to the government, and that's also a U.S. backed government. We saw that all over South America as well. So um, I I think that the means that we're taking were wrong, but I'm not surprised.
Definitely. I'm not surprised as well. It's so insane. Now, do you have anything on the entertainment aspect? Like, do you think it's something that we should fix? Do you think this is something that, what do you think about that?
Well, Denise, you know we're all just bimbos and single mothers. Um, and we just clean hotels and stuff like that. Like that's that's the place. But you know what that does subconsciously is it teaches little girls and little boys that that is your place, baby. Don't get too
Yeah,
used to being anything but pregnant and single, or working in a hotel, or not that there's anything wrong with that. If that's because there's a lot of people who have made very good lives for themselves, so no disrespect to those people, but that imagery is something that is purposely meant to keep you in the servant class. Like, because art imitates life, right? Life imitates art as well. So yeah, I think that it's really good that we have some better representation for what we can be.
definitely, definitely. It's something that, if they keep painting us as their servitude, at some point we're going to believe it. It's up to us. We cannot be like asking Hollywood, oh, paint me in a different light. They don't fucking know us. They don't fucking know us. They only know the Latinos that come here fresh out of the boat or fresh out of the freaking desert and dangerous roads to come here, and they get the whatever jobs to keep it moving and then move off from there. They don't know the rest of us. So definitely that's what they're gonna paint us. It's like if I'm trying to make a movie based on Russian culture, what do I know about Russians? Shit. Nothing.
And, and also, you mentioned that, like, Mexicans, that's something that people say. They do just assume that if you're a Latino, that you're gonna be a Mexican, right? When
Yeah,
there's such a diverse community. There's so many different people. The foods are diverse.
of
Like
course.
the music is diverse. So I think being represented is something that we really need to do, and not to just accept, because look what happened with BET, for example. BET became, like, they call it EBT. And now I don't even think anyone really watches it. But they do the same thing um with anything that is geared towards one group of people. That the goal is to be mainstream, to get the mainstream money, because usually those companies are controlled by a conglomerate, or by like a corporation. So the money is not even going to our communities.
Yeah,
It's still going
definitely.
to other communities.
Definitely. Now I'm gonna move to Zacharias. Zacharias, welcome to my platform for the first time. How are you,
Oh,
Zacharias?
fine.
Hi.
Oh, I do apologize that I did not know that the panel was on there. I was in the kitchen. It had a spill. So I wasn't trying to interrupt Jose. I do apologize to Jose.
Oh, no
And
problem.
please.
What's your
Yeah, I
take?
wasn't trying to interrupt nobody. I was coming from the kitchen. I had spilled from the coffee maker. So I was trying to clean it up, come back over here, and the
Yeah,
phone's in my
that's
room.
fine. Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. What's
All
your
right.
take on today's show?
About Latino representation, misrepresentation. Sorry, representation. Yes, you are actually right. They mostly think that most Latinos, Hispanics are Mexican. Even I mentioned the Spanish roots of my family from Louisiana. They think, oh, you're part Mexican. Like, no, I'm not. Down the family tree, I have to educate people, and especially here in Texas, it's very uneducational down here. That's why I have a lot of rage when I get out here, Texas. But yes, that's very true. I also want to touch on what you said about also of the ADS community, African American community. It's very true about BET when Bob Johnson sold it, that they had turned it into EBT, and it's sad. Also, too, you were saying about the negative images. Also, there have been good images too. Look at Selena series with Christian Serratos. She plays Selena real good. She's Mexican and Italian descent, and she plays Selena real good. That Selena series, I saw clips of. I'm still trying to work on trying to watch that on Netflix because I have an issue with my stuff here. But I actually was liking the clips I saw on Instagram of her. She shows a positive image of Selena, and I'm glad that they're showing that series. But yes, a lot of Latinos, not all Latinos. I want to stereotype. I know people who are actors. Deadly, who's black and American and Mexican descent,
Mhm.
and he looks typically Mexican. He plays Cholo characters sometimes. Shout out to him, the same Joseph Lemire. Um, he plays stereotypical characters as well. He even told me that they do it to Hispanics, but Hispanics need to come out and start saying this is wrong. Just like African people, we should not allow the thug image in the hip hop culture. That what they portray. That's what white supremacists hijack. This private prison complex money that supports hip hop. So they put the images of bad images of men of African American descent and Hispanic on media, and it's sad that the youth, those younger than us, because I'm 40, we 42 we 42 next month, I'm 41 now. They're still portraying this imagery back in the 90s. So that's why you see that. But people are not teaching their children their history. They're not teaching their family history. Like I think about my family history a lot. And I'm teaching that they let the school miseducate them and then letting the media miseducate them. And that actually, to Denise, you're actually right about how it affected the Latino community, because when I was coming up, the Gangsta Lean, the Cholo, Mi Vida Loca, Blood In, Blood Out, American Me, same thing with Tupac, Death Row Records. A lot, I'm gonna say, in my school, one time it was mostly white, and when I got to middle school, it became mostly Hispanic, mostly Mexican descent, and ADS. The white folks left, most of them left. A lot of those brothers, Latino brothers, started becoming thugs and Cholo thugs. And that gangster rap, that Cholo image, that American Me, and Blood In, Blood Out, and Thug Life, Tupac, the offensive Tupac, the Death Row Records mess, it did here in Houston, it hit. You saw flux of brothers, Latino brothers, even Asian men and women, like Tia Tequila. She was a gangster too. Okay. Here in Houston, it messed up the image. And they was emulating what they saw on TV. So, but it has a lot to do with parents and grandparents. Where are those parents and grandparents teaching those kids their history? Why they not going to the library like I did back in the 90s and learn about the history? Because in school they lie. And when I did my multiracial background in 93, it really contradicted everything they said in history class. That's why I would not go along with the narrative. So that's what a lot of Latino people and ADS people, minorities in general, especially you, go to the library, start reading, stop believing everything you see on media, TV, internet, whatever, or in the classroom, and actually be your own person. That's it.
Thank you very much, Zacharias. And yeah, definitely, you have to get to know yourself and also unplug yourself from all this propaganda and watch what you watch. And because the windows of the soul are your eyes. So, it works both ways. They show your intentions and your contempt or your sadness or whatnot, but also what you watch you're also letting in. So it leaves an imprint. So definitely trust me, what we watch plays a huge role, and it's time for us to start making it ourselves. If you don't like what somebody else is cooking for you, learn how to fucking cook, right? Now, I see that my fellow Boricua, Ramon, is here. ¿Cómo está, Ramon?
Pepa, chica, what's going on?
Pepa.
Hey, how you doing, Dennis? How you guys doing on the panel? I see you guys, Don Jose, Sondan, Rakim, all aboard. I have something to. I'm still waiting for you to tell me about that so-called tea that you were talking about. I'm looking forward to that. And Zachariah, what's going on, you guys?
Okay.
We're good. We're good. And definitely, before you go, Ramon, yeah, there is something that Ola Board is keeping from Ramon, and she doesn't want to tell it while Ramon is on the stream. What it is, y'all have to tune in Sunday to know bullshit. The link is in my description box. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell for notification and press all so that you don't miss it. Because this Sunday, she said either if Ramon is there or not, she's going to reveal it. So make sure you tune in. Now, Ramon, I'm going to let you share your thoughts on today's topics.
Well, unfortunately, when it comes to changes and improvements, when it comes to representation, things haven't changed that much in 60 years. If you look into it, if you look at as to how it goes back, kind of like the height, no pun intended. The height of representation for us Hispanics, well, Latinos. I know you prefer the term Latinos. That's fine. It seemed like the height of it will have been a West Side Story. That's how far I can think of that was like something popular that went on to become a classic, award winning, and all of that. But unfortunately, it was riddled with stereotypes. Rita Moreno herself, after she did the movie West Side Story, Rita Moreno, Puerto Rican actress from the island, who's had a long career. After she did that movie, for a long time she didn't make movies, period, because she was aware. She was aware of what she had done. She was aware that she played a stereotype. She knew what it was about. She understood that to get the recognition, she will have to play the stereotype, and she played it to the hilt. She played the stereotype to the hilt, and that's why she went on to be so recognized and getting awards and all of that. But that was by playing a stereotype. There was no nuance necessarily to her character. And she said herself, after that, she will take on smaller projects, TV projects, things like that, but making movies in which she will risk getting typecast and stereotyped and all of that. She will try to avoid that. And when it comes to the whole recognition thing, it takes there are too many big gaps in time in between the recognition. Like the other more recent recognition, when it comes to the representation, will be somebody like our fellow Puerto Rican Benicio del Toro. But there is also, when it comes to behind the cameras, I give props to the Mexican directors that have been getting well recognized. I give it to them. I give them their props when it comes to directors like Guillermo del Toro and Alfonso Cuarón, that they have been well recognized recently, and Alejandro Iñárritu also.
Not only that, now that you mentioned that, I'm gonna say something real quick. Now that you mentioned the Mexican directors, I don't know how many of you guys know Robert Rodriguez, the dude that directed Desperado.
Yes.
If you watch Desperado, I'm gonna give you a disclaimer. If you watch Desperado, you will lose all respect for Quentin Tarantino. I won't say more. Continue, Ramon.
No, I like Robert Rodriguez too. I mean, he was more recently something that he worked on was on one of the episodes for the series The Mandalorian. He did a great episode in which those that are Star Wars nerd, that's the one in which they put the character of Boba Fett in action, and he was being a badass. That was an episode that he directed, and he did that very well. Previous to that, he also directed the movie Alita Battle Angel, which is one that if you haven't seen it, it wasn't very popular, but it's a great movie. It's cyberpunk concept. It's great. It's very good stuff. At least when it comes to filmmakers, we have the Mexican and Mexican directors that are getting recognized very well. But when it comes to being in front of the camera, we still have a long way to go, because recently, look at what happened to In the Heights. That it didn't track so well. Maybe it's because it was made for an audience that it was kind of like they tried to make the audience as broad as possible, and they couldn't get the backgrounds right, or they couldn't or wouldn't cast the different actors kind of like more true to what their background was. I mean, I'm sure it would be couldn't have been that hard to do. So it was a half-assed effort, and maybe that's part of the reason why it didn't go so well. It didn't do so well. I mean, now I don't know anything about the stage play, but it possibly could have been executed better. Like the whole thing with Sofia Vergara that you were mentioning. I mean, she was somebody who was actually playing a stereotype, and she has made herself very wealthy playing a stereotype. She got paid very well. There is a reward to it, but you have to sacrifice authenticity in the process. And that's kind of like a very big trade-off that one will have to do for Hispanic or Latino actors and actresses that will have to make authenticity or success. Which one are you going to take? That's what it seems to be happening. I mean, Sofia Vergara in that show that you were talking about, she has played that character to the hilt with the stereotypes and
Do
and
you remember the Tyler Perry, a brownie for my brownie? Do you remember that shit?
uh,
I'm like,
well, I haven't seen
oh
that, but
my
I'm
God.
sure that there was like over pronunciation of the letter R and like
Yes,
overdoing the hell
yes.
out of it. I'm sure that was happening, and it's unfortunate because you see her. You see her kind of like in a more normal environment, and I'm sure that she is more articulate and smarter, more intelligent. But she does these interviews also in which she kind of has to stay in that character where she's like really pretty, but she can't be that smart. It's like playing to some kind of fantasy, some kind of fetish or fantasy, I don't know that.
I think, to be honest with you, Sofia Vergara and her phenomenon in Hollywood reminds me of a movie that I love, which is Prestige. There was something, I don't know if you guys have watched it, with Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. Um, when they were mage, they were two mages, and they were
Yeah.
talking about the sacrifices that you have to make in real life in order for you to have the best, basically be an entertainer. And I won't be surprised if Sofia Vergara actually, it's like the Chinese dude that had to walk like he was crippled because of a trick he invented to have a fishbowl appear out of nowhere, but it was always in between his legs. He was only seen walking normally inside his private house that had covered windows and everything, because that's the sacrifice that he made for his trick. I would not actually be surprised if that woman could speak like Kim Kardashian in her home, but that's the act that she sells to all of us, that that's her accent. I don't think that's her real accent. She doesn't have me. I don't believe you, Sophia. I know you can speak proper English because come on now, okay?
No, a little bit of accent would have been fine because she's born and raised in
Of
Colombia.
course, but look at
But
me. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I lived there for 25 years and I don't even have that strong of an accent. Come on.
yeah, yeah, I have a worse accent, and I think I have lived here longer than you. But it's because I moved into to the States when I was already an adult, so my accent does come up and makes me look dumb a little bit.
No, it
Love it.
doesn't. It doesn't. You're bilingual, okay? So accents are pretty and you have to embrace them, because if people
Oh,
embrace the British accent, our accent is fucking precious, okay?
yes. Thank you. Thank
Now,
you. You're right. You're right.
I'm gonna open the discussion for the rest of you guys, but I wanted to broadcast something that I know Sundown is thinking about, all the morons that told him he didn't knew shit. This is how Sundown looks in real time right now. Look at that.
Yeah.
But 100%.
I
That's,
give you that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, he's like donkey.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's how
Uh,
he is right now with all these morons. I thought he was
I,
just
I I
talking
do
shit.
I do want to give a shout out though. So when those people were going at me, uh, Smoothio and Morena, I believe Blood Moon as well. Like they were in those chats and they were defending me. So I do appreciate them for that. So
Yeah,
I just want to say thank you to you three for having my back when those people were, or when those morons were telling me I didn't know what I was talking about and playing my voice and all that other stuff. They had my back. So thank you guys.
yeah, definitely. Thank you, Smoothio. She says, "We got you, Sundown. Hugs and kisses." So definitely, yeah, it's just so like super cringe. But at the end of the day, it's like I've said here many times before. We're not your regular folks. Like if you see everybody in this panel, we're people that even with our strong accents, Ramon, we're still properly educated people that exercise critical thinking and like to live in reality, not plug in the matrix. So of
Yeah.
course, people that live in the matrix will come for you in all types of ways. So definitely, like I said, we're only speaking to 10% of the population, not to the 90 that wants to be in the circus. So I'm gonna start closing this up. Before that, you guys, Sunday stream, like I said, Olabor is holding out something that she wants to tell when Ramon is not around, but Ramon will be there. So if you want to know what's that all about, make sure that you go to the link in my description box and subscribe to No Bullshit. Our show will be Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And you're more than welcome to go over there as long as you have thick skin. If you're a sensitive person, I do not recommend you for you to be a participant of the show because you will get offended by common sense. Now, I will start wrapping this up, and I'm gonna start with Jose. I will go to Sundown, Zacarias, Olabord, Rakim, and then Ramon. So go ahead, Jose. Final thoughts.
The fact of the matter is, um, despite what some people may think, we do have Latinos that give a proper and educated representation of the Latino community. We have some examples right here. People like yourself, like Orbord, Ramon, other examples like Christina, a radical Latino. And the fact of the matter is, as long as we have some Latinos that give a more accurate portrayal of our community, there's always hope. Um, it's easier to complain, but one thing I said before at an earlier stream, which is it is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. That being said, I just want to thank you, thank you for the opportunity of being with all of you. And of course, I'm going to close the same way that I always close. People, please be careful out there because there are sick, depraved people that want to do us harm. And unfortunately, some members of the panel have been had to face that kind of nonsense. That being said, let us do what we can to minimize our contact with the mentally and intellectually challenged. Because if we spend too much time with them, what will happen is we will be infected by their stupidity and insanity and will become part of the service.
Definitely. Definitely, Jose. I'm going to put you backstage. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. As always, bring your sense of humor and your wisdom. Now I'm going to have Sundown with his final thoughts.
Um, Wanted to piggyback off what Jose said. Thank you for having me on here. Um, but like, I mean, even back when we were talking about
Mhm.
like the situation like with Haiti and all that, you had your input as well. So you can kind of sit back and laugh because you were right also. You know, I don't want to take full credit for you and all the other people that kind of had a knowledge about that. Like this is a nice little victory for us. But again, I do thank you for having me on, and thank you for touching on more broader subjects that you don't really hear about in other places. That's what I appreciate about you. And like I said, I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sundan, you're always welcome here. And yeah, definitely, we touch on other topics that, other people might not like it, but, we got to do what we got to do, right? And they are needed. So thank you for coming in and always coming with facts. Like I said, for all of you guys that love to say that Sundown was full of shit, this is Sundown today. And wait for the rest, because you have said a lot of other things that many people don't want to accept. But in reality, reality will slap them in the face regardless. So thank you very much for always coming here and share with us your knowledge. I appreciate it. I'm going to put you backstage, and I'm going to move to um, Zacarias, then Rakim, and then Ramon, and all aboard. So, Zacarias, what are your final thoughts on the topic?
I agree with Mr. Jose. He's right. It's better to light a candle than curse the darkness because let's also, I mean, I'm not bashing, we should talk about the negative things that happen to Latinos in Hollywood, but positive things going on. I think the series already ended, the Selena series. So let's also give attention to Kristen Serrato. She did a good job playing Selena. So no,
Well,
I'm
I
not.
mean, yeah, I will say that she did, but come on, those wigs, man, those wigs and the freaking diaper that she had on. Come on now, there's a lot of
I mean,
Mexican ladies that have nice bodies and can act. Let's just find those. But yeah,
I think she
overall,
did
she
love.
did a good job. She did a decent job. Let's just say that. So I'm gonna thank you, Zacarias, for joining in. Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna put you backstage. Now, Rakim, Ramon, and I'm gonna end with all aboard. Rakim, what are your final thoughts on today's show?
My final thoughts on today's show, Denise, is once again another great stream, very valuable and important information with what's going on with the corruption on trying to make PR a state. Like, it's just crazy how the man could be living in Virginia, of course, extracting all of the money from the island, and he gets to be the representative for what he think is best for the island. So that goes to show you where a lot of people's ulterior motives are, you know, and where a lot of people's agendas are. As well, as far as what's going on with Haiti, once again, unfortunately, it's a sad situation because the last thing I would want for the Haitian people is for the United States to invade Haiti and be able to pretty much lock it down because we all, we can remember that Haiti was once called the jewel of the Antilles for a reason. It has a lot of resources there. Of course, they did have a sustainable economy before they were sanctioned by France, and pretty much what's the word I'm looking for? Pretty much people could do any trade with them. So um, but yeah, I pray that that doesn't happen and they're able to become a self-sustaining country. Of course, it was the first Black republic, so I have a lot of respect for the Haitian people. Also, on the last subject, as far as representation within Latin American media, that's very important because, like I said, once again, if you don't control your own imagery and you left for your imagery to be controlled by people who don't have your best interests at heart, you will be looked at, you will be painted a certain way to the point that globally that's the image that is out there that people will perceive you to be, such as what you saw with African Americans. When you look at the media in the past of tap dancers, African American tap dancers like Bojangles, dancing in Shirley Temple back then, African Americans was perceived to be, the happy-go-lucky Negro, the Negro that was docile, and then as time went on, they transitioned to the criminal, the gang member, the angry black man that have people clutching their pearls when they cross the street when you walk down the street. So I want to see more positive representation for the Latin American people, such as being doctors, lawyers, shows that's really about Latin American culture, showing the history and various things like that is very important. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Rakim. Definitely, one of the examples of that is Miss Ava DuVernay, and how she has portrayed black men. And let's not forget, she said that she grabbed for the first time a camera when she was 34 years old. And look at the way she has portrayed it. Come on, look at When They See Us. That was something that she directed and she tried to produce it and stuff. And it's like I said, the way that we can tell our story, nobody else can. So let's start owning our stuff and creating it ourselves. So I thank you, Rakim, for your opinion. I'm gonna put you backstage. Now I'm gonna go to Ramon and then all aboard. Ramon, final thoughts on today's show.
Well, when it comes to the whole thing with the representation, I guess this is something that I'm positive that I'm not the first one to think about it, but we have to work out. We're gonna have to work on that ourselves. If so much intelligence and so much education has been put on us, and we can't figure that out, and we're still having to beg another group to let us to let us in the door, so to speak, for representation. And after decades, after all these decades, and things haven't pretty much changed much, and you know it. I mean, it's unfortunately that we're still on this begging mode, and so many of us could have figured out something already about taking control of our own representation. We haven't done it because apparently we seem to not want to. I mean, we are a large population. We outside when you go below the border with Mexico, all of that is most of that is Spanish speaking. It's a large community, hundreds of millions of people. We could have done it. We could have done it. We could have made it happen. We could have come up with the kind of like studios, independent production companies. The thing is that we have what it takes. We have the talent. We have the technical know-how with all of these novelas that are being put together that are usually garbage. So the experience when it comes to put together programming is there. The resources may be there, but maybe we should concentrate in telling more varied, better stories about ourselves instead of what is usually expected. All of this fantasy, romantic shit that satisfies the need of a certain part of the population, but it's not really telling our stories. Or maybe that they are taking a subject that is from history and they romanticize the hell out of it, or they're not really telling the truth about it. And I believe that there could be so much to tell, so much to say about us if we really wanted to, but we keep kind of like begging another demographic altogether that really doesn't care about us to tell the stories for us. Like, we're wasting time. We're wasting time. That's not really gonna happen. It hasn't happened. Over 100 years of filmmaking in the United States, and we still can't get no representation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on us. It's on us. We're dropping the ball there.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
a couple of last things before and I'll go. The the first thing, you say something about Selena Sirius and she's
Yeah.
wearing a diaper. What was that about?
Oh my God. You know how Selena had this beautiful, perfect body, right? So
Okay. So that she had to wear some kind of
she
like
had to
prosthetic for it.
wear a full-blown granny diaper that
Oh,
actually portrayed that she had that body. And I'm like, of course. The only person that they could find that had Selena's body, and it was not even as close, because Selena had a better body than J-Lo. Come on now. It was Jennifer Lopez. That's the reason why they casted her, because they could not find somebody with that same body that had a
right.
very tiny waist and a big butt and whatnot. And it was because of that. So now with this girl, she's a skinny girl and whatnot, they should have just let her be skinny and flat,
Okay.
because that made her look even old and like a granny. And then the wigs looked like they were from Pennywise wigs that were left
Oh.
over from the It
Uh-huh.
movie, and they just used them for Selena. That's how it looked like.
Garbage.
Yeah,
That's what it
it
sounds like.
was trash.
One last thing. Alabor's been quiet, maybe because she's getting collect calls from the dude in jail.
I got you on Sunday. You don't even know it yet. I'm gonna get you. You're gonna be
Ah,
surprised, Ramon.
oh, okay. Well, do your worst. I hope I don't start crying myself to sleep or something. So I'm gonna be looking forward to it. And once again, Denise, guys, thanks for letting me on your panel. Had enjoyed myself, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
No problem, Ramon. Thank you very much. I'm gonna put you backstage. Thank you for always showing support. Now I'm here with my girl.
Hey, what's going
Well,
on? Thank you,
all
everyone, for
aboard.
joining the panel. Ramon, you are hilarious. I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna pay you back on Sunday. I want you to show up now. Why I want you there?
Definitely, you don't want to miss the stream. I'm waiting for it. And trust me, I do not know what she's talking about, but I will be there with her. Now, all aboard. What are your final thoughts on today's show?
Okay. Um, I'm gonna do it backwards. For one, I want to talk about what Pamela just said. Um, the new Spider-Man shares her name, so that's pretty cool. And being represented as a superhero, I think that always does a lot for like for children and people in general for their self-esteem. I think that's a great start. Um, I think the representation in the media, we have to play a part in that because, like you said, we can't just keep beating the same dead horse, beating the same dead horse. Now that we've come out of these um these genres to where we just have to like self-deprecate, which is something that Rakim was touching on, and I wanted to say it, but he beat me to it. Now
Raquel. Damn you,
Rakim,
Raquel.
yes, he beat me to it. Now that we've come past that, I understand doing the whole little like tap dancing in the beginning, but we've come past that. So you have to also take initiative and say, listen, I'm gonna go for those other roles. I'm not gonna accept it. I'm not gonna accept it. We can make other roles for ourselves. But I also noticed that despite all of the humbleness that Latin Americans show to America, we were still disrespected when there was a presidential election. So that just goes to show you how being humble and being, passive, where that gets you. It gets you absolutely nowhere. If you don't make noise, you won't be heard. The closed mouth does not get fed. So I want to say that, and then I also wanted to touch on, again, the thing with Haiti. Um, Something that happened is that the border with Dominican Republic was closed. It's been closed, I think, for the past couple of days. It'll be closed for the next couple of weeks. I believe they said. So this doesn't just affect Haiti. This affects commerce for the entire island, and then also the places that we do trade and business with. So just keep that in mind, and also know that once the U.S. used to occupy Haiti before, because they had some turmoil several years ago. They had turmoil. The U.S. went in and occupied it under the disguise of being peacekeepers, while in actuality, what we're doing is just exploiting resources. We know this, so let's try and keep our ears to the ground and stay focused, because the United States doesn't change its spots, you know, it just tells you their stripes. So that's why I want to close out.
Definitely, definitely. I'm gonna put you backstage. Thank you all aboard for your input. And yeah, like she said, the United States doesn't change the way they do business. This is how they do business, especially when they're in a tight spot. And guess who's in a tight spot right now with $23 trillion in debt? I'm doing like the Sofia Vergara R's, a trillion. We are trillions in dollars in debt. And as a matter of fact, ex-President Trump mentioned like a while ago that it would take 225 years for the nation to be debt free if we don't keep adding shit to it, of course. Now, before I leave, I wanna give my opinion. Like I said at the beginning, you can complain all you want. If you don't like the food that is being served to you, you got to get up your ass and make it yourself. If we want to see better representation of ourselves outside of ourselves and for ourselves, we have to make them ourselves. There's a lot of stories that we can tell, and they don't always have to be the same story. As a matter of fact, I want to leave you guys with something that I will be talking about Monday, and I want you guys to tune in because it connects precisely with Hentified and exactly what we're talking today. It's about it's time to clean the barrio. Yes, guys, you heard me right. Monday, I'm going to be talking about cleaning our barrios because for way too fucking long, we have been complaining, crying, whining, bitching about how we get treated, how the barrio always looks like shit, how the barrio doesn't have this, how the nice places look like this, and we go and hang out once a month in the nice place because we can afford it. But somehow we always have to come to the barrio, and our barrios look like shit. So, since we all can agree that barrios look like shit, it's time to clean the barrio. If you want to know what I'm talking about, please tune in Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Now, I want to wish you guys a very nice weekend. And before I go, I want to thank everybody in the chat for tuning in. So you guys know how we do it here. I see that there's 18 people here. Make sure that you like this video and also subscribe to my channel because it doesn't cost you anything, but it helps me grow my platform. Now, Ramon is making fun of my trillion. So definitely, I see that Smoothie says, I have some opinions about gentrification. Smoothie, make sure you join in the panel so you can show us your opinion about this. Like I said, Monday, the show is going to be lit. And trust me, next Thursday, we're going even deeper. So like I said, if you don't think that there's something wrong with us and the way we do business, then this is not the space for you. But if you are for change and action, this is your spot. This is where minds like us unite to actually organize, strategize, and execute. So this has been another show of Latinsplaining with Denise Gonzalez. You guys know how we do it here. Like I said, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you very much for the support. But before I leave, make sure you follow me on Instagram where I cover stories that I sometimes cannot cover on my channel because there's so much happening in Latin America, in our Latin diaspora here in the United States. My Instagram is denise.gonzalez.villegas1. For those who do follow me, thank you very much for following me, guys. And like I said, you guys know how we do it out here. This has been another episode of Denise Gonzalez on Latinsplaining. So you guys stay tuned. I see you guys Monday. Don't miss no bullshit. We want to see what Ola War is going to say to Ramon. Peace, guys.